Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. I'm Taffany and I want to welcome you to Tika's Gardens. Today we are inside again because it's raining outside this morning. So today we're going to stay inside and we're going to talk about my vegetable garden. This is going to be part 2 of what I want to do in my garden for 2025. So let's just get started. So my vegetable garden originally was just an area with a very, very big tree and just one old knockout rose. The tree was cut down in May of 2023 and we formed the shape of the vegetable garden. It was initially smaller, as you can see from the picture. The rock was extended out to make it larger. It was extended both ways, from the front and from the side. And inside of the vegetable garden, there are 4 center beds, which are 8 by 4. Well, they're actually bigger than 8 by 4. I made them so that they can hold an 8 by 4 bed and then still have room for planting for flowers on the outer edge. And on both sides, that is the case. The 2 front beds, I don't know what their sizes are. They were just made based on how that section, was shaped and how things turned out with the shape and size of the area. I have a big back center bed, and then I have 2 smaller beds on the side. The one smaller bed on the side of on the left side of that large center bed has a blueberry bush in it, a couple of daylilies. I want to take the lilies out possibly, but I want to get 2 more blueberry bushes there. Along the right side of that large back bed is a smaller section, but there I typically put a few low growing plants because there's a sprinkler head there, so I don't want it blocked. There are 4 pots along the fence on that side. Those pots, 3 of them have blackberry bushes or blackberry vines in them, and the one in the very, very back has a honeysuckle in it. The one thing about this area is, or the yard in general, we need to replace the fence. And you'll notice that there's a lot of ivy from my neighbor's yard that keeps coming through the fence onto our side. So my hope is when we replace the fence, we'll just get solid panel fencing so the ivy hopefully won't be able to come through. We'll see how that works out. When we moved in, the ivy was not that ferocious. It wasn't that big, but in a short time period, it has become invasive and out of control. And, I haven't really said anything to my neighbor about it. I don't know if they plan on doing anything about it, but it has covered the entire side of their garage now, and it's seeping into our yard. So I'm constantly cutting and fighting that. But nonetheless, we are hoping we can get that fence replaced and kind of resolve some of that ivy issue. I don't know. But the vegetable garden, that tree, as I was saying, was cut down in May of 2023. The vegetable garden was then, the rocks were extended out to make it larger and the shape was formed. And we actually did plant, we were heading right into summer at that point, but we still went ahead and planted directly in the ground, and we had a pretty good crop. I planted some kale, collard greens, mustard green, turnip greens, some cabbage. That year we also planted okra, which was planted early in the spring before the tree was even cut down. And I had at that point made the circle bed. It wasn't as big as it is now. It was a little smaller, but I had made the circle bed, but I had not made a lot of the other beds yet. So we had the okra in that circle bed that year, and it did really good. It did so good, and that I collected so many seeds from it, from 5 okra plants in that circle bed that year. That's a lot. So I collected a lot of seeds so I don't have to buy okra seeds for the next 100 years. Also that year with the kale and the collards and all the other greens, I also collected seeds from that. So I initially bought seeds. And the first set of seeds that I purchased to get my vegetable garden started came from Amazon. It was a package of heirloom seeds. It has 25 different vegetable packets in it, and it is this right here. And they did fairly good for the most part. My very first growing season last year, or 2023, right after the tree was cut down, we did collard, kale, mustard, turnips, carrots, broccoli, radishes, cabbage, and I had blackberries. That was what I had. Oh, and the okra. Other vegetables were planted in that vegetable garden. Now what I did, you'll notice in that garden there's a metal raised bed. That metal raised bed is a 6x3 bed. I had 2 of them, and they were in the back section behind the garage, which is now the courtyard garden. It was not that then. It was just kind of dirt and muddy and wet a lot of times. I put the beds there and I used them for compost. I would put some food scraps like peels from oranges, things like that, leaves, all kinds of stuff like that. And so once the tree was cut down and we made that vegetable garden, we used the compost from those 2 beds to actually make the vegetable garden. So the garden started out with really rich soil. And this packet of seeds was my first seeds. We got a pretty decent crop. And of course you saw the okra. I got the okra off of Etsy, and that did fantastic for us. It is the Clemson green spineless. And so, as I said before, I've got seeds to last this lifetime and a few others. I then started buying some other kinds of seeds on Etsy as well, and at our local garden center. And I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn that here in spring, in the Houston area in Texas, that I need to look at seeds based on whether they can grow in hot climates. I tried some carrots for 2 seasons in a row and got nothing. The green leafy parts grew, but the rest didn't. So what I did was this year at the garden center, I purchased these carrot seeds. They are Shin Kuroda, and they are heat tolerant. It specifically says that this heat resistant, high moisture, deep orange carrot is one of the sweetest you will ever eat. Great for storage, excellent for dense soils. So, as you can see, it says that it is heat resistant and high moisture, tolerant. So being a very humid area and very hot, I thought this would work, and sure enough, it did. This was the first year that I actually got carrots in any garden, anywhere I lived, actually. It's one of those crops that I'd always been bad with. So I actually got carrots, and a few of them, not just one. I was so excited. Now, it is not one of the long, traditional greens, orange carrots. It is a, shorter, fatter carrot, maybe about that long. But I was so excited. It's just important, to remember to get what can grow in your zone. You just think a vegetable is a vegetable. Collard greens, okay, collard greens are collard greens. It should grow anywhere. Or carrots are carrots. They should grow anywhere, but you really have to look at the species. So I got a few things. Carrots were one, some other things as well. I also started experimenting with taking seeds from vegetables that we bought in the grocery store. So like I put bell pepper seeds in here, and I tried them, habanero seeds. and they actually did grow. I did not get very many peppers from the habanero plant or the bell pepper plant, but they did grow and they did give some. Again, I think it has to do with, were these really made for growing in our area? Since, you know, food is shipped all over the place, it could be a particular species that was not really made for growing well here. So they grew, didn't produce a lot of fruit. The habaneros I have this year are clearly made for growing in this zone because they are doing wonderful, as you can see. And I got those from the garden center. Those did not grow from seed. What else? What I started doing with my seeds is separating them this year after I saw what did good and what didn't. I separated them by what had good growth, and I labeled my bags, you know, good growth and moderate growth. And so in here I have my kales, which is a dwarf Siberian kale. I also have another kind of kale. Let me pull out some of these seeds here. So I have a dwarf Siberian kale. I have my mustard greens. I have some turnips, which are purple tip white globe. I have broccoli, which is Waltham 29. Bell peppers. These are some that I collected from ones that I bought. I have champion radish. I have cucumber. This one says straight 8. And I have Bloomsdale spinach. So these did pretty good here. So I will give these another try. I've tried growing peas and beans and have had moderate success with them. Purple hull peas are some of my favorite. And I have some left of what I did try to grow. They gave a few. I would say this one fell in the moderate growth category, not great. One thing I did start doing from our first crop in 2023 is leaving a couple of the vegetables out so I could collect the seeds. So I collected okra seeds, as you know. I collected seeds for our mustard greens, from our collard greens. I collected seeds from our cilantro that we grew. This year I grew a watermelon, which was Crimson Sweet, which actually did very good. And so I collected seeds from that. These are from the original cilantro seed packets that I got off of Etsy. And it's great, you know, that I was able to grow the cilantro and then collect my own seeds here. What else? There's so many different things. We have corn. We actually grew corn, and I do still have some of the seeds from that. Let's see. The corn we did was a sweet corn called Butter Gold. That did pretty well here. A lot of it got eaten before I could get to it, but that was not a failure. It's just I was slow. And something else I want to show you guys, don't get to see too often. These seeds right here. I'm going to take one out. Let me get one that hopefully you can see well. This seed here, these are watermelon seeds. They are from my great grandfather. These seeds are maybe from the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s or so. I'm pretty sure early 1900s for sure. I did attempt to grow one or two this year, and I got it to grow a little bit green. I got the green leafy part, but then it just kind of stopped and waned off. So I'm gonna experiment a little more to see if I can get one to grow. But I have, talk about heirloom. I don't know what kind of watermelon seeds these are. I got them from my uncle. My great-grandfather used to put his watermelon seeds in a tin container, and my uncle still has that. And so I took some, well, my husband actually took some seeds from it for us to try. Unfortunately, I don't know what kind they are, but I'm going to give it another shot this spring. I'll try a few different things. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to do a little more research to see what I can do to kind of bring it to life and see if we can get a crop from it. But if not, the Crimson Sweet watermelon, we'll try that. I'm not a big watermelon fan, but my husband does like it. I'm also not a big okra fan for someone who has like a million seeds of okra. My husband loves okra. My mother was a big okra eater too. And although she's not here with us today, I think she and my husband would be like buddies when it comes to the different okra dishes. So I have some work to do with getting my seeds organized, but I have quite a few seeds that I collected. You know, I started out, like I said, just buying a few, and then I just started collecting on my own, putting them in envelopes, and then I bought some of these little seed packet envelopes for storing seeds. I actually got these off of Amazon. They come in this big white box here, and there's probably like 100 in there or so. So those are my seeds, but I don't, as far as my ornamental plants, do a lot of those from seed. I did here in 2024 start buying some. Here's a tomato, beefsteak tomato. I did try these. Didn't do so good for me. One thing I learned from doing a little research is here in spring, if you grow the smaller tomatoes, they will fruit throughout the hot weather. The larger tomatoes will fruit like in the cooler weather or more early spring and fall type of weather, but in the dead center of summer, the plants will continue to grow. They will make flowers, but they won't fruit because of the heat. I don't know if there's a variety that will grow, a variety of large tomato that is, that will grow in this kind of heat. I'm sure there is. I have not really done that research yet. So that's something else I'll be working on for this upcoming spring to see if I can find not the small tomatoes, but a larger tomato that will grow in the heat, because we go through a lot of tomatoes. But getting back to what I was saying, I don't do a lot of flower seeds, ornamental flower seeds. I have tried it in the past when I lived in Tennessee, and it did turn out well. It's like I just like going ahead and buying the work already done for me. Flowers already grown, and all I have to do is plant. But I did start buying some seeds this year. So I have some zinnia seeds, alyssum, sweet William, cosmos. These were for $1 at Dollar Tree. I don't know if they're going to do well or not. I'll see. I've never used Dollar Tree seeds before, but that'll be a little bit of an experiment for me as far as the cut flower garden is concerned. So these will get me started, and I'll buy some more seeds and I'll see how it goes. And I will probably do a direct sow for my seeds in that long narrow section where I want to do the cut flower garden. So I think that is it for all of the seeds that I have. I'm gonna just kind of stick with the crops that I know that works for us. Again, that is kale, collard, mustard, turnip, some of the seeds that my husband brought back from Nigeria, like tete, ewedu, things like that. What else? Cabbage, broccoli, carrots, watermelon, radishes. I'll do those things. Lettuce, I typically do a lot of lettuce and have a success with that as well. And I will stick with my berries. My blackberries do very good. And I'm going to try again with strawberries. As I mentioned in my previous video, I will be taking them off of the ground and putting them in the pots that are along the outside, hanging on the fence of the vegetable garden, to see if I can keep them from being eaten before I pick them. And then my blueberries. I just planted that blueberry bush back in October. That is back in the vegetable garden, and I want to get 2 more so they can self-pollinate, and they can pollinate each other, and I can get a good, a crop of blueberries, hopefully, because we get a lot of blackberries off of those 3 blackberry shrubs that I have. So I think that's it for all that I plan on planting in the vegetable garden and all of my seeds. If I decide to experiment with any other seeds, I will let you know what I have, and we'll give it a try, and we'll follow along together and see how well it does. I do want to mention that one of the key issues that I am having in this vegetable garden is my neighbor's tree. That tree, since the vegetable garden has been put in, has started spreading its roots into the vegetable garden, as you'll see in this video here. And that root system is kind of spread itself to multiple beds, and I'm sure it's because the soil is so rich there now because of the amount of compost we have used back there. So that is one of the main reasons why I want to do raised beds back there, so we can get our crops further up away from those roots that are coming from our neighbor's tree. We can't ask them to cut the tree down. I do like the tree. It does give us something to look at, pretty fall color and everything. So, I like trees, and it was a hard decision when we decided to cut the tree down in our backyard, because it provided shade and helped cool the yard. But I really wanted a vegetable garden, and the tree had really become too big for that backyard. I'm sure it was nice when they first planted it, and I think they probably planted it not with the thought of just how big it would get, but it got to the point where it was literally, the branches were extended so far out, it was covering the majority of the yard, and the lower branches were pretty low. So I was having to kind of, bend down just to kind of walk through the yard. And I'm 5'4", and they were too low for me in many places. So the tree had to come down because of what we wanted to do, which was to have a vegetable garden. But we are not going to do raised beds just because we think they look good. Yes, they look good. Yes, I want them for that reason, but I also want to get my crops as far up away from the roots of that tree that is just creeping its way in to take advantage of our rich soil. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we face with our vegetable garden, outside of heat and humidity. Many crops just aren't going to grow here because of the heat and humidity. So you have to get crops that are specific to warmer climates, specific to the southern part of the US, if you want to have success. And that's just what I've learned that it is here living in Texas. I can't do like I did when I lived a little bit further north, when I lived in Tennessee, all that. It's just not the same. So I've had to change my way of thinking when planting here in Texas, in the Spring area. Another thing is, for me, when I'm buying vegetable plants or ornamental plants, my mind had to reverse its thinking. Instead of looking at plants and seeing, okay, these will grow all of the way up to zone 3, or these grow in zone 4. I have to go the opposite direction. What is the warmest climate my plants can grow in? And I look for as many things as I can that can grow in zone 10, because otherwise I have had many plants and have wasted a lot of money over this year trying different things that just didn't make it once that heat hit. Not that they just weren't making flowers, but they just withered off. I planted a shrub in the yard near the entrance of the courtyard. And my husband had traveled for work. When he came home, I took him outside because I wanted someone else's eyes to see what I was looking at. I was like, look at this shrub. And he looked at it. He was like, did you set it on fire? I was like, no, this shrub has just literally burned from the heat. The shrub had burned to the point where the leaves were like black, as if someone had actually lit a match and set it on fire. I don't know what happened, but it just looked like it had been burnt. So I have had some experiences in this garden in such a short time period trying to figure out what grows. And I've just learned if it can't take the heat, just don't even bother. It is not as important to me if something can grow in the cooler zones. It's how many zones down, how many further down hot zones can it grow in. You know, like I said, I try to get things that grow in zone 10 if I can, because I then know it will tolerate the hot weather. And it gets hot here early. You start to really feel the heat in April, and it goes all of the way through September, sometimes into October as well. So we have a very long hot season, with, of course, your June, July, and August being the hottest, with July and August being the worst. And it's extremely humid. So, you know, I've learned. So my challenge is the tree roots and trying to get my crops above those roots so I don't have to worry about them competing and having nutrients sucked away from them by the tree root. And the second is heat, getting heat tolerant crops and plants. But as far as, I just spilled some seeds. I'll have to move that to the side. As far as the vegetable garden is concerned, the layout is there now. I'm going to, it's kind of a mixed feelings for me on this. My neighbor behind me has 2 small 4x4 raised beds that are the vinyl style beds, like the vinyl white fencing that we have around the vegetable area. And she's had them for years and they look good. Haven't broken down, no rust, no degradation or anything. So because I don't want to be replacing beds every few years, I'm going to go with vinyl beds. I know it's not a natural material, but financially it doesn't make sense to be constantly replacing beds every 1 to 2 years when I see that how fast they have broken down for us in our yard. It's a very humid climate here. So we're going to get vinyl raised beds, and I'm going to get 4 8x4 vinyl raised beds, and they're going to go in those 4 center beds. The 2 front beds are bricked off, have nice brick edging. They're going to stay like that. The large back bed has brick edging. It's going to stay like that. And the 2 side beds have brick edging. They're going to stay like that as well. So we're going to have the raised beds in the very, very center. So that's what my plan is for the vegetable garden. So let's picture we've got the fencing around. You walk into the vegetable garden, and in the very front of the beds on the right, I have lilies, and I'll probably put in a few other plants. And those line the fence so you can see flowers kind of standing up over the fence. And then the vegetable raised beds will be right there next to it. Same on the other side. The beds will be there. Behind them, along the wood fence that I said we need to replace, there's space for planting. I can put anything there, angelonias, lilies, whatever, you know, I may want. So behind all the beds will be plants to kind of add some color. But then we have the white raised beds, and we'll have our vegetables in there, and we have the other beds in that area growing various different things. And if we're able to get a new fence, that will make it look even better. So that's my plan for the vegetable garden. It's pretty much done. Just have to get the raised beds, have to replace the pots in there with some better, thicker pots that won't crack or anything. Those pots that are in there, a couple of them are cracked. Like I said, they're old, so it's time to replace them anyway. So for now, that's my plan. You will get to see as I get my raised beds and put them together. We'll do that in a video, show you what it looks like when I'm done. But for now, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. For all of you who have subscribed and followed me, I appreciate you very much. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.